I feel like there's always that balancing act when we're trying, especially when homeschooling in general, but especially getting through those middle school years of trying to help them. Welcome to Learning with Boys. My name is Rachel. I am a homeschool mama for boys. I have graduated too, and this is our 16th year. So this year I have a 6th grader and an 11th grader. And I'm going to be talking about my 6th grader. And I started thinking as I'm doing this video that I remember when I had my oldest and just the concerns of the middle school. You know, he was in 6th grade, he was going into 7th, had to prepare him for high school. And I just want to give you some thoughts there real quick before I look over the curriculum that we are going to finish up with my 6th grader this school year. Now, this is also an encouragement to myself. Like, I've got to be telling myself these things because just as reminders, but also as I have had, this is my 4th one, that I am a little more laid back. So I know what to expect, but I don't want to get so laid back that I'm not pushing him either. There's a fine line there. As they're entering middle school, I'm laughing because you could use those, I don't know if you've ever used these words or have thought these words, but you need to work on this so you can be prepared for high school. And it's almost funny now that I think about it because a middle schooler, a 7th and 8th grader, they have no idea what that means. Like, they really can't comprehend what high school is about. And I really think they have to be in the midst of it and working on it and finally hit that idea and that vision of their goal at the end of school. But that takes time and it takes experience. Like, they have to experience it themselves to really comprehend and understand it. So right now, our goal is just to encourage them where they are at. If they're struggling with something, if they have a weakness, we really want to find something that will help them. Like, I will talk about my son with math. I'm really realizing I want to really help him realize that he can do this. Even with like the grammar and the math, I'll mention some things that I'm just trying to help him. I want him to be able to think a little bit beyond expecting me to tell him how to do it every single time. I want him to take some time to think about it because even any of us can do that. If we look at something and we're like, I don't know how to do this, we don't even try because you could just Google it now, you know what I mean? But you want them to be able to think a little bit for themselves, definitely. But you also want them to be able to listen to you and follow directions. So I feel like there's always that balancing act when we're trying, especially when homeschooling in general, but especially getting through those middle school years of trying to help them get to the next step. I hope all that makes sense because as I am finishing, I can't believe this is my last one, and he is officially going to be in middle school. I know some people count 6th grade as middle school, but I'm looking at 7th and 8th, that I want to challenge him. And I mentioned in my goal video that I'm just praying that the Lord will open up some opportunities to give him. I feel like all my boys, especially more the 8th grade, but even 7th grade, just opportunities had arisen that help them grow to be the men God has created them to be. And as the teacher, as the mom, right now, we just want to find out really what they're interested in. Like, I know my son right now is interested in World War II. And that has had to make me be more interested in it. Like, listen to stories with him. Listen to him when he's telling me what he's been reading or about planes or ships, and just taking the time to be observant and to find interest in it and asking questions. Even when you ask a question, he's like, oh, that means she's really listening to me. And I think that middle school age is a sensitive age too, so they need to make sure that you are listening to them, not just that they are listening to you. Because I don't want to say that that's earned, but if they can really see that you truly do love them and you want to see them move forward, it helps to express that to them. And sometimes it's hard, depending on the child. I'll admit it can be hard. So I just hope that is a little encouraging with concern. So when you're thinking maybe you have one going only into 6th, or maybe you have one going into 7th or 8th, instead of looking and thinking about the hardest curriculum and worried about the challenges of high school, just take the next step. Make sure you're building that relationship with them. And find out what they're interested in and maybe pick that particular curriculum to make it a little bit more challenging, and not every single subject. I think that's the biggest thing, is not as they're going into middle school, okay, let's get high school material. And I've mentioned this in a video before, I know, but I'm thinking about mine. My last one is getting ready for that stage. So I'm saying this stuff to remind myself, because I feel like it's going to come and I'm going to have those thoughts. So wanted to share that with you, but I am going to turn the camera around and just give you an update on our curriculum. And I think I'm adding some things that we did not do in December that we're putting back into the schedule. So let's take a look. Okay, we are going to be taking a look at the different things that he will be working on this semester. Most of it is the same. Some things do change up, and I'll share what I mean by that. He has been working, let's start with language arts. He has been working on the IEW medieval history-based writing lessons, and we are not nearly as far into this as we thought we might be, but he is enjoying it. It is going well. He's grasping it and understanding it. We are going to be starting back on it this coming week. I have actually done a video on this recently of how we do this a little bit differently. This is our 16th year homeschooling, and I've been using IEW, especially their writing, most of those years. So I'm going to show you just right here where we are at, so it gives you a little understanding what I mean. He will actually be starting on this Unit 3-8. Obviously, this is the end of the school year. So more than likely, and I don't have a problem with this, I really feel like he's grasping it and understanding it. He's in 6th grade, first time he's done IEW, but he has heard a lot about it from his older brothers. We may skip some lessons, especially a lot of times they just review a concept. They have introduction for some new things. So we'll see how it goes. I'll keep you posted and on how all that works. But so this is where we will be starting. He did not do writing in December. That is one thing that we sort of did not keep up with. I will share anything else that we didn't do. So it's going to be retelling narrative stories, which he has done one of those. So I think it'll be a fine review and it'll all come together. I also have this book, the Student Resource Notebook, that is very helpful in any of the IEW writing. All right, Fix It Grammar, that is going well. Let's see where he is at. We got this book a little bit late because I did do a switch. Probably halfway or less than halfway through the school year, I switched out to this. Okay, so my 11th grader is using Fix It this year too. He had also used it in 9th, I think. So I'm a little familiar with it, but as my 6th grader, this is his first year using it. But we have done a lot of grammar in the past. I have lots of videos on that if you're curious what we have used, but this is going well. But I will tell you, if you are using Fix It or thinking about it, that, I love that this is different. Like, it actually tells you how many you're looking for. But for us, I feel like so far, I think it was like a week ago, really when we started back at school, I was realizing he was struggling a little bit, and I said, why don't you start from the bottom and go up? Because I feel like once he gets the subject and verb out of the way and the prepositional phrase and moves from there, that really just helps him knock some things out, and it makes it easier to find the other things. Now, I don't want to say every single time, but a majority of the time that has been very helpful, and he even started putting the arrow so he reminds himself to go up on that. So that's Fix It. He also started back, he did not do this last month in December, is the handwriting. It's just cursive practice pretty much. He's really not nearly as far in this book as I wanted him to be, but it is going well. It's just copying through scripture. It does get harder towards the end where you're writing it on your own, just copying from above. So just want to keep that up and going for him. He also did not do spelling back in December, and he's starting back on that. He's actually on lesson 13. Yeah, 13, but he's about done with that. He'll be on 14 here in a day or two. So that is his language arts. Now, with Matthew C. We have been using that, and he just started this book. So he is my only one that sort of like does a book halfway through the year and starts a new one. The other ones did one book per year. It is going well. I talk a little bit about this on my Instagram post, just sharing this child is so different from math than my others. And I had a couple that struggled. I had one that was really good at math, but they all used Matthew C. and did well with that. We may have used something different here and there, but a majority of their schooling was with Matthew C. Just want to encourage you and say a few things. This particular book is decimals and percents. He just finished up fractions. That, for him, it just has to be a lot of review. And once he has reviewed it, which could be a week and a half to 2 weeks, it'll click. Like, we're on a concept right now. It's not 100% clicked. But I'm pushing him a little bit harder to make him try to think about it and not so much me showing him. He's obviously in 6th grade, will be in 7th. And it's just the way his mind thinks. He knows he struggles with math a little bit, but when he gets the concept down, he can retrieve it later. He remembers it. It's not like he totally forgets everything. So that is good. So review for him. That's why it takes us a little bit longer. But this still puts him where he needs to be when it comes to 9th high school. So I'm not worried about it. All right. This is a devotional that we use once a week, which is part of our core curriculum. I'll show you in a minute. I mentioned this in most of my videos. Bob Schultz, really enjoy these books, have several of his books. Last semester, he was doing a Proverbs People book 1. This is book 2. I just happened to have these on my shelf. We had not used them. I think we used book 1. I had print-offs of it for some of my boys several years ago. And right now he's reading through the book of Proverbs. I just wasn't ready to start this yet. I really wanted to look at it a little bit more, and I'm still undecisive. I think if we finish this out, I was letting him do it independently, and it was fine. He did fine with it. But I think if we do this, it just has, let's see, some verses you look up and some questions, and then there's a story that goes along with that character study. So I'll let you know how that goes. Right now he's reading through the book of Proverbs. So, and I do want to work on some scripture memory. I haven't put that together yet, but I have some ideas, and I will share that with you coming up soon. This is something I'm going to add, intermediate drawing. I just feel like he enjoys drawing. He draws specific things, but I think this will help in some areas. My oldest really did enjoy art, and this just gives some helpful things in your artwork. All right, here is our science. I almost jumped over that, but this is Science Shepherd, Earth Science that he is working on. This is an online program, so this is done on the computer. He watches a video. It's a great curriculum, a Christian worldview. I have done a video on this. I'm going to link that below. If you get a chance, check it out. They're really good curriculum. He has really enjoyed this, and this is something he is working pretty independently on. So, and this is the workbook. All right. Under that, I have his planner, which I'm going to start filling out here in a little bit, but just giving you a look at that. This is just something I have recycled from last year, trying to stretch it through the rest of the year, but we'll see. I'll let you know. I do have this book out because I'm debating on reading it just as an extra, and I'm not sure if it will be with just him or if it will be with him and his older brother who's in 11th grade. But it will at least be with my 6th grader. I printed off a map just because I have just finished up a book about Susanna Wesley, which is his mom, and I was a little curious myself. I like to look at maps and see where everything is when I'm reading the book. Is anybody else like that? I just want to, it helps me picture things and where they're at and how close they are to different things. So I printed that off. We may not start on that for another week or so because we are actually listening to one of the Christian Hero audios, and he has read a couple books. I'll share some of what he is doing in a future video and some books that we've all enjoyed. Okay, I'm going to move over here and talk about our history, which is from Heart of Dakota. It is Resurrection to Reformation. This is the second guide for middle school. So they start out with Creation to Christ, and then Resurrection to Reformation. And It is a Charlotte Mason style, so they'll have spines, and it's actually a full curriculum. I'll show you a little bit about it here in a minute. So then they have Revival to Revolution and Missions to Modern Marvels. So this is his guide he is using this year, and he is on Unit 17. So with this comes his geography. And this is one of the books he uses sometimes, but he does have a lot of mapping work. He'll have, this is actually the teacher's guide. This is our third time using this guide. So I printed this off a long time ago, and then I had this printed off too. And this is more the students. They just sort of fill it out as we are talking about the history. So we're just going to keep doing that. That has really picked up in the last couple weeks. We use it, but now I feel like he has it more often, not just in the geography box, but sometimes, I think even in this history project one week, they were talking about the maps and mapping, and sometimes in the independent study, because right here it tells us to even look at the atlas and just follow the route. So a little bit more geography, but we are talking about the discoverers here a little bit too. So, and then he also once a week does that devotional guide, the Boyhood and Beyond I mentioned. And let me show you, once a week he does art. This is something I wish I can say I'm real consistent at, but I'm not. But he's not really that far behind. I will tell you there's some things in here that I do skip just because they're not my preference, but I feel like we have talked about and had some good discussions at the same time. So, but this is art appreciation that's in here once a week. So, all right, for this, they actually have language arts and math and Bible and everything in here. It's a full, what you would call a box curriculum in a Charlotte Mason style with a Christian worldview. So we have really enjoyed it. We've been using it for several years, and they have spines. We've actually used 3 spines already for their history. This is one reason I absolutely love this curriculum is for the history, but the spine we'll be using the rest of the year, which just started probably a couple weeks ago, is Mystery of History, Volume 3. So we have gotten into that already, and they also have story time. So we just finished up Ink on His Fingers, which was about Gutenberg and the printing press. This was like a historical fiction that was really good. And then we will be reading this about Leonardo da Vinci. It's just a short little book. So that will only take, obviously, Unit 17 and 18. And then we'll be reading Mr. Pipes and Psalms and Hymns of the Reformation. We read one of his books last year with Creation of Christ, and it was really good. It's just learning about the hymn writers and the hymns and the purpose and discovering the places and why they wrote them in a story form, like Mr. Pipes and these 2 children are on an adventure. So you also have notebook work, notebook pages that come with this that he fills out for timeline, narration, looking up different places, and there's a lot more in here than just that. So, all right. Okay, I appreciate you all watching that. I would really love to hear if you have any specific concerns about middle school, or maybe you have been through it and you can share below what worked well for you. So, all right. I do appreciate you all watching. If you are new here, I would love for you to subscribe and join us. And if this video is helpful in any way, if you could give it a thumbs up. And I hope you all have a wonderful week, and we will talk to you again soon.